Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Kayla from AADL. We're so happy to have you with us on this Wednesday evening. A few pieces of housekeeping. If you haven't put your phone on Do Not Disturb or silent, whatever you do for that, now is a good time to take care of that. If you want to use assisted listening devices, we have some of those just through this set of double doors on this tiny table through here. And if you need to use the restrooms, the closest ones will be through the first set of double doors where you came through to your right. If you're interested in other kind of spooky adjacent events, it is October. We have a ton of those at the library, so feel free to check out aadl.org/events if you're interested in seeing more of what we have going on. But you're here for this event today, so thank you for coming. Today we are joined by Crysta K. Coburn and Kay Gray from the podcast Haunted Mitten as they travel all over the Metro Detroit area in search of the area's history and hauntings. You'll hear about famous landmarks and not so well-known places that have some spirits hanging around. In such an old city like Detroit, it may not be surprising that the living aren't the only inhabitants. With that, help me in welcoming Crysta and Kay.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kay.
Okay, I'm Crysta K. Coburn.
Together we host Haunted Mitten. We talk about the history and hauntings all over Michigan. We've been podcasting since 2019 with 6 seasons of the podcast under our belt. The 7th starts on Halloween. You can get it wherever you get podcasts. We have a couple of slides at the end of places that you can get the podcast, but it really is everywhere.
And we also have a book, which we have for sale tonight. We have them on the back table as well, but here's my example. Ypsilanti Ghosts and Legends. It came out last September, so just over a year. If you like local ghost stories, UFOs, a little bit of true crime, then you should totally check out our book.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Tonight we're talking about just some of the hauntings around Detroit. It's an old city, and there are way more spooky stories than we have time for. We will be here all night and part of tomorrow. So let's get to it. Humans have been on the land that is now Detroit for up to 11,000 years. We're talking before the domestication of cattle, before the extinction of the mammoth. Europeans and their descendants have been coming here for about 400 years, which is more than enough time for legends to arise.
So our first stop is a location we have the honor of visiting every year. Historic Fort Wayne is actually the 3rd fort built in what is now the city of Detroit. The first, Fort Pontchartrain du Détroit, was established in 1701 by French officer Antoine de la Motte Cadillac. Probably a familiar name to people.
Probably know that name.
Yep. The settlement eventually spanned both sides of the Detroit River, including fur traders, farms, French colonists' homes, etc. Fort Pontchartrain was surrendered to the British during the French and Indian War in 1760. The British then constructed a second fort, Fort Lerneau, a few years later, and they manned the post until 1796 when the United States assumed control over the site and renamed it Fort Shelby, hence today's Fort and Shelby Streets where the old fort was located.
A lot of contention for this area of Michigan.
Yes.
After the War of 1812 ended and treaties were signed, the U.S. government decided there just wasn't enough protection along the northern borders of its territory and established forts from the East Coast to all around the Great Lakes, including a new one in Detroit. Lieutenant Montgomery C. Meigs oversaw construction of this 3rd fort, and it was completed in 1851 and named after General Mad Anthony Wayne, who had led the charge to take Fort Shelby nearly 60 years earlier. But, funnily enough, the U.S. and Britain found peace during its construction. However, according to Nicole Beauchamp in her latest book, Haunted Detroit, there was one casualty before the fort even opened its doors.
So the story goes that one young man, inexperienced sentry named William Pickett, was on duty while other men loaded ridiculously large and heavy cannons into the fort. The sentry stood just outside the also ridiculously large, heavy iron doors that stood at the entrance. The men, who were exhausted after a long day of hauling iron, they accidentally lost control of one of the cannons, and it careened down the hill towards the entry doors and Pickett. Being inexperienced, the boy of no more than 18 had his attention elsewhere when the cannon got loose. He never saw it or the iron doors coming. He was struck so hard by both large pieces of metal that he died instantly.
Yeah.
which is probably a blessing. To this day, visitors have reported seeing a soldier bearing arms at the fort's entrance. It is said offerings of whiskey and cigarettes keep his soul at peace. Just please remember not to litter.
Yeah, don't actually leave anything.
Yeah.
The fort was actually left unused for a decade immediately after it was finished, manned by a single watchman. There's speculation that it was used as the final stop before Canada on the Underground Railroad, as the watchman also operated the only ferry across the Detroit River for miles. But as far as we can tell, it remains a rumor. A cool rumor, but especially on something that's supposed to be secretive.
Right.
However, investigators have caught some voices on a spirit box that could be of freedom seekers or recently freed people in casemate number 2, which looks remarkably like the top left hand. That's actually the other casemate, but there's 2. A man named Isaac Cook described to investigators how he came from Virginia, lost his wife, and accidentally drowned in the Detroit River while trying to make his escape to Canada. There were too many people with that name during the 1860s for anyone to truly nail down who this was, but to get such a thorough story is nearly unheard of in the paranormal world. And the investigators are still incredibly excited over it, as they should be. How sweet.
Yeah.
To hear
It's a
history from
find.
the people that lived the history.
And Beauchamp writes that Union soldiers from the Civil War are the most prevalent apparitions cited in the fort, if you can believe it. Although soldiers from other wars have been seen there as well. And here's a fun fact. Fort Wayne was the site of the billeting and training of Private Franklin Thompson of Company F of the 2nd Regiment of the Michigan Volunteer Infantry. Whoa, say that 3 times fast. Thompson was actually Sarah Edmund Seeley, a woman who served disguised as a man for 3 years. She served at various times as a nurse and a spy. And you can read her autobiography, Nurse and Spy in the Union Army, The Adventures and Experiences of a Woman in Hospitals, Camps, and Battlefields, that she published in 1865. But no weird story there. We just thought she was a badass and wanted to share it.
I mean, look at her.
Yeah, she looks great.
It's incredible. So the fort itself has never seen a day of battle. As the historic Fort Wayne Coalition says, quote, the peaceful location became a primary induction center for Michigan troops entering battle in every U.S. conflict from the Civil War to Vietnam. It even housed families displaced by violence during the Detroit riots of the 1960s. It has housed prisoners, soldiers, the injured, and the accused, but has never been used in out-and-out war. And that, for a fort, is kind of amazing.
Especially such an old fort. People have experienced all sorts of weird things, I will say, from mysterious noises to EVPs to time slips to full-body apparitions like that of William Pickett. There seem to be a few hotspots of activity at Fort Wayne, including the Sally Port, the grounds inside the fort itself, the original barracks building, and for some reason, the visitor bathrooms, especially the ladies' room.
It's always ladies' room.
It's very commonly ladies' rooms are haunted, however you choose to take that. So if you haven't heard our podcast, one of our favorite places to research is the good old comment section. I know they normally say, don't look at the comment section. In this place, look at the comment section. There's usually some good ones in there, and we love reading them. So we're going to talk about a few experiences people have had and posted on different websites we found.
One of our personal favorite sites is Mysterious Michigan, run by Amber Rose Hammond. It's a lot like us, or we're a lot like them, just using completely different media. Check out the blog to read a lot about spooky places in Michigan and like lost places in Michigan. And really, it's just she's a fantastic writer. We highly recommend. The entry on Fort Wayne was written by a member of Metro Paranormal Investigations, a research and investigation group based in Detroit. They actually used to host the ghost tours at Fort Wayne for quite some time. Unfortunately, I believe those are no longer happening.
Yeah.
I think it was something that pandemic killed, actually. 2 members had an experience on the grounds inside the fort proper. While closing up after tours one evening, Wayne, appropriately named, spotted a small ball of light akin to a flashlight. He called to his partner to help him check to see who it was. She found no one, and just as Wayne was about to search the casemate for the errant visitor, someone said his name aloud. Or said the name of the fort aloud. Said Wayne aloud.
Yeah.
Both he and his partner heard it. Being paranormal investigators, they were very professional. They finished closing up first before letting their eerie voice get to them. But it seems that people hear their names called within the grounds quite often.
So the next story comes from hauntedplaces.org, another favorite for public comments. According to a commenter back in 1981, this person was waiting for a friend to complete some work in the original barracks. They lay down on a cot in the uniform room on an upper floor and fell asleep. They were woken abruptly to their name whispered in their ear. They could even feel the breath on their skin. But that's not all that reportedly happens in the original barracks. Doors are known to open and shut all on their own, and like black masses kind of move around the building.
This right here is the original barracks
Yes.
building. And if you go to Frankenfest, that's where we are. You can come see us.
You're not
shameless
allowed on
plugging.
the upper floors anymore, though. They're very dangerous.
They're very unsafe.
yeah, they're very unsafe.
It's all closed
I've
off.
asked several times. They won't let me up
They
there.
won't let us do it. Fine. Fear for my personal safety, I guess. I don't. So we could not leave out a story from Beauchamp's book that struck a chord with us. A member of the historic Fort Wayne Coalition had an eye-opening experience with a Civil War soldier. He was inspecting the property outside the powder magazine building when he felt someone grab his butt and give it a very firm squeeze. He snapped up and spun around, only to find himself completely alone in the area. Then this started happening more often. The man would be touched by unseen hands and got the impression he was being followed by a masculine presence.
So as funny as that is, there's perhaps sad explanation for it. The man was informed of a story of a gay soldier who had been ruthlessly bullied and murdered on fort grounds for his sexual orientation. Reportedly, his killers buried him in a shallow grave next to the powder magazine. Rumor has it that the murderers managed to cover up the heinous crime and avoided punishment from their superiors, although how we know about that if it was covered up,
I don't know.
can't say. But the volunteer had felt he had some kind of explanation for perhaps what was going on, and also a mysterious admirer.
Yeah, that part's nice.
Yeah. I'd be flattered.
Yeah, you know. The Sallyport is a popular place to catch sightings. Not only did the tour guide from before see a light there, but LostInMichigan.net recounts a story of two workers taking their lunch break inside the tunnel to get out of the summer heat. While eating, a full-body apparition of a Civil War soldier emerged from one wall and walked down the tunnel right past them. The ghost then disappeared into thin air. The men booked it out of the tunnel, and they did not come back.
Don't blame them.
Right?
This next story actually comes from my husband. It was his first time visiting Fort Wayne in August of 2019. A friend of ours does like post-apocalyptic custom cars.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. They're great.
They're so cool.
So cool. And I don't know if they still do it, but Fort Wayne would have a yearly car show. It went away for the pandemic. It might be coming back. And I will have Kay actually read the story in Greg's own words.
This is what he writes. About midday or early afternoon, I left the group to go and explore the fort on my own. I started with the fort's eastern point, ahead right facing away from the barracks. As I came into the room at the very tip of the eastern point, I felt an overwhelming pressure in my head. I've had sinus infections and sinus headaches before, and this wasn't the same thing. There was no pain involved, just an intense pressure, like my brain wanted to explode out of the top of my skull. My immediate impression was of cannon or artillery fire. No surprise given the fort was used as an artillery training ground during the Civil War, and an authority that didn't want me there. Once the feeling began, I left the fort's interior as quickly as possible, exiting on the southeast side of the point and eventually returning to the interior grounds. Later in the day, as the show was starting to wrap up, our entire group decided to explore the fort together. We again started in the east point before making our way to the north point of the fort, ahead and to the left, facing away from the barracks. Here, I had a second experience. Inside the north point, I had a sudden feeling of my throat being restricted. Not enough to seriously impede my breathing, but enough to get the message that I was not wanted there. I didn't feel the same authority presence as in the east point of the fort, but I definitely got the idea that whatever may be in residence there thought I lacked the necessary military discipline to be allowed there. And we can confirm,
Which
yes,
is
he
true.
does. Shortly there, it's fine, he's not here. What's he going to say? What's he going to say about that? Shortly thereafter, the entire group circled back to the east point and exited through the northeast side and up the trail that leads from there to the rest of the property. As soon as we exited, the restriction on my throat ceased, as did the feeling of being told to leave.
And because ghosts seem to love them, here we come to the ladies' bathroom, as mentioned earlier. People have experienced footsteps coming up behind them and heard voices. One of the comments from hauntedplaces.org includes an odd photo of like a squiggly light. That's the best way I can describe it.
It's like a dark room with a squiggly light in it.
Yeah. That is exactly what it looks like. It was taken by a woman on an investigation who snapped the pic after she heard footsteps coming up behind her.
Yeah.
So take that as you will. And we wouldn't be a bit surprised if more people have had experiences there. Actually, about every year, I think someone tells us about an experience.
Every year, somebody new comes up to us and tells us about something weird that they've experienced on the grounds. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody goes rushing to the bathroom whenever we tell that story, too.
Yeah, because where we sit, where the actual like little stage area is, we give a we always give a presentation on a much more extensive history on Fort Wayne, and a little bit more extensive of the hauntings. But the bathroom that these hauntings happen in is literally right outside where we speak. So we're always just like, just go there,
Hang it right.
haunted stuff, because ghosts love ladies' bathrooms. They love it. Okay, so let's talk about some more locations around Detroit, starting with Detroit's very own curse. The city of Detroit was founded on July 24th, 1701 by French explorer, adventurer, and future governor of Louisiana, Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac, as both a settlement and as a buffer against the British. The name at the time was Fort Pontchartrain du Detroit, Fort Pontchartrain of the Strait, Detroit Main Street. I don't know if we mentioned that earlier. Over time, it just became Detroit because that is way easier for American English speakers to pronounce. We're not saying
French,
all that.
too.
And
I'm not
it's way
saying all
easier
that.
for everybody.
It's a long name.
We're not saying the long name anymore.
There's also a curse associated with Cadillac. Just curses all over the place, really.
Yeah, this city is just, it's full of them.
It really is. Has anyone heard of the Nain Rouge, by the way? I know we were talking earlier. So I know you have.
I know you have.
So also called the Demon of the Strait, the Nain Rouge and Cadillac go way back. Marie Caroline Watson Hamlin wrote in her book, her 1883 book, Legends of Le Detroit, that on March 10th, 1701, Cadillac was partying with friends in Quebec when an old fortune teller named Mère Monique La Saucière entered. She was dressed strangely, and a black cat perched on her left shoulder. One after another, Mère Monique read the palms of the partiers. If she hesitated when reading, the black cat would lick her ear like, quote unquote, the devil giving information. I don't know how a cat licking your ear looks like the devil giving you information, but sure, why not? Very dramatic.
The devil's very tonguey, I guess.
Maybe that's it.
He's really into it, okay?
No.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Appreciate it. No. I'm just gonna, that's fine. You keep reading. I'll just be over here looking for a remote. Oh, no. Yes, thank you.
So Cadillac asked for her to read his fortune, of course, but rather than reading his palm, she scried in a basin of what looked to be mercury. Don't do that. It's
do that.
dangerous.
Heads up, don't.
See all kinds of things. So among other things, she claimed that if he did not appease the Nain Rouge, then he and his family would be ruined. So of course, when Cadillac does later come across the Nain Rouge in Detroit, what does he do?
He beats him with a stick.
Like you do.
You know, a normal human reaction. Perhaps, understandably, the Nain curses Cadillac and the city that he founded. I would too if you beat me with a stick. Now it is said that the Nain is a kind of a harbinger appearing before a great tragedy in the region. He was allegedly seen before the Battle of the River Raisin in 1813 and before the 67 Detroit riots. It's believed that the Nan is a combination of older unknown legends from North America and the Luton tradition that was brought over from France by early settlers. This happened with a lot of French traditions as French people settled outside of Europe. Their own culture was influenced by the people that they met. The Luton is a household spirit similar to like an elf, a pixie, or a gnome. Nain Rouge is usually translated as Red Dwarf, not the TV show, if you're old enough to remember that. Thank you, one person. They like to play tricks, but they can be helpful if you appease them and don't beat them with sticks. If you offend them, they might fill your shoes with pebbles, tie your hair into knots when you're sleeping, or curse your city and your entire bloodline. Allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because I know that he's listening. So if you see a little guy dressed all in red with furry boots and flaming eyes, again, be polite.
It's funny how many problems are solved with being polite.
And that's the Marche de Nain Rouge.
Yep, if you haven't been, it's super fun.
It's so much fun.
It's the first Sunday after the start of spring, I think. It's around that time. It's in the springtime.
It's not one set date.
Yeah, it's always a Sunday. So if you have Sundays off like I do.
But it's cool. It's not a very long walk. It's all flat.
All kinds of performers, singers. It's a grand old time. It's a party. It's a huge party.
It's just a giant, really fun party to celebrate weird stuff and beginning
Detroit.
of spring in Detroit. Yeah. And it ends at the Masonic, because then you get to hang out at the Masonic, which we'll be talking about later.
It's true.
Belle Isle was originally known as Hog Island. Just take that in for a minute. The French made it a foraging place for their pigs, so Hog Island. On July 4th, 1845, a grand picnic was held on the island, and the partygoers decided to rename the island Belle Isle after Isabel Cass, the daughter of Governor Lewis Cass. And yes, it's that one. Beautiful island, it just sounds so much better than Hog Island.
It's a little more attractive.
It was then, after the renaming, that Belle Isle started looking more like the day trip island we know it today. It gained the aquarium, the conservatory, the Dawson Great Lakes Museum, the James Scott Memorial Fountain, and a public beach. And it's just a really lovely place to spend the day and no longer covered in pigs.
Oh, can confirm. I've been there several times.
Yeah, no pigs.
In the middle of Belle Isle sits a statue of Major General Alpheus Starkey Williams, mounted on his horse. Mimi Staver, in her book, Detroit Ghosts, tells the story of a woman and her daughter who witnessed the head of the statue turn and look in their direction as they took the picture. When the daughter exclaimed that it was creeping her out, she felt a hand grab her shoulder as if reprimanding her, which would creep me out even more.
Yeah.
Staver also writes that a woman in white has been seen on the island and that she can turn into a deer. There is a legend that an Odawa chief sort of wanted to protect his daughter from her many, many suitors. So he sent her into the Detroit River on a covered canoe, because that's safe. She eventually landed on what is possibly Belle Isle and lived with the wildlife. There are a lot of different islands there, but
Yeah.
the legend says Belle Isle.
According to onlyinyourstate.com, Belle Isle was also known as Rattlesnake Island, owing to the large number of, you guessed it, snakes. The chief's daughter became known as the snake goddess of the island. Quote, there are no reports that the chief's daughter is violent or vindictive in any way. She's more of a sad presence, so beautiful that she wasn't able to have her own life, end quote. We can verify absolutely none of this, but it's a great story.
Very popular story.
It's also said that if you park your car on the bridge late at night and honk your horn 3 times, a lady in white will appear. But no reports as to whether or not she follows you
Or does anything,
or
really.
does anything, but just show up, and it's probably annoyed that you're honking at her house.
Yeah, she just appears. That's it.
She's just mad you're honking at night outside her house.
Yep. So the very next year after the renaming of Belle Isle, Detroit's oldest continuously operating non-denominational cemetery was dedicated. Elmwood Cemetery is a sprawling 85 acres, just right smack dab in the middle of the city.
Yep.
It began its service when prominent members of the city came together and bought a large piece of the George Hunt farm in the township of Hamtramck. How it has shrunk. On the western side of the property is Bloody Run Creek. So named because in May 1763, Ottawa Chief Pontiac led a rebellion against the British after the French and Indian War. His men attacked a number of British settlements, including Detroit. And we're not going to get into the details of the rebellion because entire books have been read on this. You're in a library. There are probably plenty downstairs.
Ain't nobody got time for that
Yeah.
right now. It's a lot of history.
It's a lot of history.
Yeah. Good news, though. We're in a library, so go get some books out after. So a lot of people died in this war on all sides, including British Captain Dalyell and 20 of his men at the creek. Pontiac and his men won this battle. After Dalyell's death, a bounty was put on Pontiac's head. And history goes on. Again, library. If you wish for nonfiction, it's on floor 2. That portion of the cemetery has been preserved by the Elmwood Cemetery trustees as a historic area with a plaque memorializing the event. Many people claim to see odd anomalies in the cemetery, as well as the apparitions of the people who died on that fateful day. Nicole Beauchamp writes, quote, "While no British soldiers are known to be buried in the cemetery as it stands today, random sightings of soldiers in red coats have been seen by visitors."
She also recounts the story of a cursed monument. Remember, curses everywhere. Of the Veiled Lady is what she's called there. The story goes that the monument was commissioned by Joshua Waterman around 1869 for his deceased wife, Eliza. It was made out of gilt. Joshua had been carrying on an affair with Eliza's sister Fanny when Eliza passed. He even married Fanny after his wife's death. The monument, sculpted in Italy and shipped from Spain, sank on the voyage over. It took 2 years for it to be retrieved from the sea, only to sink to the bottom of the Hudson River on its second journey to Michigan. So, bad luck. And it was also badly damaged in a storm in 1919.
It did not want to exist here. So rumors persist that it's cursed monument, excuse me, and those that look upon it are doomed to eternal damnation.
I hope pictures are okay.
Not, right? Hey, I didn't take them. So we're not sure why everyone is cursed to eternal damnation. We didn't cheat on Eliza. I didn't do it. But maybe she just likes to hold a grudge. I don't know. One young married couple visited the cemetery, and the wife grazed her fingers over the statue. A few moments later, she heard rustling like footsteps through leaves behind her. And then she felt a tickle on her neck like a bug was crawling on her. And then the tickle became the full touch of a finger. Unnerved, the couple got in their car and started to drive off when the wife screamed and slammed on her brakes. In the back seat, she'd seen the Veiled Lady.
And it just escalated from there. The wife saw her in her ever-increasing nightmares, and then in her home while she was awake. And then she had a face-to-face encounter with the lady in the bathroom of her home. Again, bathrooms. The lady would not leave her alone, coming closer and closer until the wife screamed to be left alone. All the light bulbs in the bathroom burst at once, showering the wife in glass. The room went dark, and she huddled in the corner, terrified, until her mother got home. Beauchamp claims the woman still has a hard time with mundane chores, especially showering. Shocking. Even though she's moved to another home and no longer experiences the Veiled Lady. That's great. So, of course, when we eventually make it to this cemetery, we still have not made it, she's totally going to touch the monument.
Yeah, of course I am. Who wouldn't? If you're
Me.
told about a cursed monument, you go touch the cursed monument.
Have fun with that.
Thanks, I will.
Well, for the more cautious, maybe we'll leave that one alone and we'll just admire how mostly beautiful it is. You can still see some of the
so
damage.
you're just gonna sit here and insult this Veiled Lady? At least
she didn't want to be here to begin with.
I mean, she didn't, but dang, I feel like insulting her gets you cursed as much as touching it does.
We'll see. It's a picture. I haven't been there yet. I won't insult her to her face.
Look, it doesn't happen to me anyway.
Yeah, you can still see a lot of the damage, unfortunately.
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's, it's from, it's so old. Yeah, the weather itself is just going to erode it eventually, but.
Yeah, so I guess go see it now while you still can. Touching it is up to you.
Yep, do it. Do it. Do it.
It's true. She can't go after everyone.
I'm pretty sure she could. I don't think curses have like limits on them.
There we go.
So our journey next takes us to the Two-Way Inn, a wonderfully divey bar on Mount Elliott Street. It was built in 1873 and opened as a saloon in 1876 by Colonel Philetus Norris, great name, a famous figure in Detroit's history that we actually have yet to research. And I keep forgetting, even though we've said that sentence a couple times this year.
Yeah.
The building has been several things over the years, from the saloon to a general store, stagecoach station, hotel, sometimes jail, and possible brothel. A lot of people, a lot of energy, a lot of comings and goings, ghosts.
During Prohibition, it was a speakeasy. Amazing. Who would have seen that coming? And it was owned by a dentist, which may seem insignificant, but during Prohibition, there was a loophole in the Volstead Act that allowed doctors to prescribe alcohol to their patients. So it was a great cover for a speakeasy. Mickey Lyons, in his article Prohibition Detroit, describes the current iteration of the bar like this. The Two-Way Inn is the sort of place that most folks have to make a conscious effort to go to, but I have yet to meet anyone who ever thought it was the wrong call. Once you're in the doors, the dark wood walls and floor cocoon you with a sense of warm welcome. Grandpa Malik's hunting trophies line the walls, usually decorated for the next big holiday, but sometimes simply sporting a jaunty hat or cigarette.
Yeah. As for the name, Lyons says, quote, back in the days before insurance regulations boarded up so many of the beautiful old windows and entrances to old saloons, there were two ways in and two ways out of the bar. That was, they say, just in case the police or an ornery wife came looking for you. Honestly, I think we finally need to go.
It's true. So if you end up there, you may not only see the happy faces of the tipsy in the dark bar, you may also catch a glimpse of Colonel Norris himself. He's said to haunt his bar, and people have reported seeing his apparition walking the floors. Locals call him the Cowboy due to his wide-brimmed hat. And shocking absolutely no one who's familiar with our podcast, the owners have had experiences with their very own White Lady, whom they believe to be one of Norris's daughters.
They're everywhere. They're all over Michigan. In fact, we just learned about another one like a couple days ago.
That's true. A local one, too. A little boy has also been seen, however, in the bar and the connected home where the current owners, the Maliks, have lived for decades. The story is that the dentist's son passed away during Prohibition, and he still hangs around the place he grew up.
Seems cool. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a pretty chill place to hang out, so.
Kid in a bar, why not?
Yeah. No one can stop him.
That's true. He also can't, drink, so.
Yeah, play tricks on people.
That's fair. That's a good point. Play tricks on the drunk, whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah.
By the 1880s, Detroit was securely in American hands. It had been our state's capital and played a large role in the Underground Railroad, as it is so close to Canada. And Michigan was very, very much in the Union. To quote Abraham Lincoln, thank God for Michigan. The city was a shining beacon in the Midwest, full of the rich and powerful, industry titans, and lavish and luxury homes. And in 1888, Detroit got its first art museum.
The Detroit Institute of Arts, the original one, began as a journal in local newspapers written by newspaper magnate James Scripps in 1881. He wrote out his family's 5-month European art and history vacation, wouldn't that be nice, and submitted it for readers back home to read, and people loved it. In fact, they loved it so much, they wanted the real thing in their city. A whole host of the rich and famous of Detroit contributed toward a permanent art exhibition in the city. When this succeeded, a challenge was put forth to those prominent citizens again to expand on what they'd built. The much larger Detroit Museum of Art opened in 1888 at 704 East Jefferson Avenue.
According to the DIA's own wiki, quote, the present DIA building on Woodward Avenue debuted on October 7th, 1927. Rather than following the traditional organizing items by type, the DIA's collections were organized by nation and chronology, which was recognized as being so revolutionary that the 1929 Encyclopedia Britannica used an illustration of the main floor plan of the DIA as an example of the perfect modern art museum. The DIA operates as an independent nonprofit, and it's incredible. Go there,
Yeah.
give them your money, especially if you live in Washtenaw County, because we don't get in for free, unlike Wayne County.
Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County
Wayne,
residents can
Oakland,
get in
and
for free. So if you
Macomb.
do live in those cities, you can get in for free.
You can.
So Mimi Staver, in her book Haunted Detroit, talks about a number of odd things which occur in the Institute. Security guards have claimed to hear like a large clattering, as if a painting has fallen to the floor, in the vicinity of the Court of Death, just going right here, by Rembrandt Peale. But when they arrive at the spot, the sound came from nothing's amiss, paintings are fine. Guards have also claimed that the nail figure, again right here, of the African Congo people, who call it an Nkisi Kondi, it's been seen shuddering and vibrating, and dances after the museum closes. When Staver asked a guard about the figure, he answered, "Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that."
Nope.
And another guard would just not give her a straight answer at all. The figure's movement has been reported in several articles and books. However, the DI actually contacted us after we included it in our episode.
Yeah.
And thanked us when we questioned it.
So quoting from that email, that story was concocted in the late 80s by a security supervisor to discourage a not terribly bright guard on the night shift from sleeping in that gallery when he should have been making his rounds. The supervisor and I had a good laugh about how quickly the story spread and how many guards suddenly claimed to have witnessed the figure in action, end quote. While that story may not be true, people have reported hearing footsteps, loud thuds that echo throughout the halls, and the sound of something being dragged, as well as seeing shadow people throughout the DIA. So it is haunted, just not by that.
Right. So, quote, oftentimes the guards report hearing loud thuds that echo through the halls of the empty museum. Others claim to hear the sounds of people dragging something around the building at times when
like
there
that.
should be no one on the property.
I don't
This is
like
from
that.
an article from thrifty.com. Car companies have they have the weirdest
It's
articles.
from a car company. Also, I don't like that. I'm cool with like most things. Dragging something just gives me a very bad feeling.
At least maybe they're just dragging art.
Why are they dragging art?
Yeah. But the guards also report shadowy figures sort of following through the halls. So if you're there, maybe look behind you.
Yeah. Maybe try to get a security card to talk to you, like I would.
Yeah. see if they will talk to
See
you.
if they will
Yeah.
talk to you, or if they just say, "Ma'am, please, this is our
Nope.
museum."
And you might hear phantom footsteps, but it is a very large museum, so you might hear footsteps and there's totally someone like around the corner. So
Yeah. It's also huge.
take that as you will.
Yeah, it's also a very big museum. I still have not seen all 5 floors. Do it. Aha.
There she is.
Oh. Our next stop on our tour of Haunted Detroit is one we have talked about on the podcast before, and one of, if not the most, famous restaurant in Detroit. The Whitney home was completed in 1894 and is estimated to have cost $400,000, which comes to nearly $13 million in today's money. It was made using South Dakota jasper, a rose-colored granite, and from the Whitney's own website,
The Whitney Mansion is 22,000 square feet and has 52 rooms, including 10 bathrooms, 218 windows, 20 fireplaces, and numerous stained glass windows crafted by Tiffany's of New York. It was the first residential home in Detroit to have an elevator for personal use, a hydraulic number. So the family spent the equivalent of $8.1 million on just furniture and the equivalent of nearly $10 million on artwork from around the world. David Whitney Jr., the man of the house, was the wealthiest man in Detroit at the time, in case you couldn't guess from those numbers.
what? I want to spend. Yeah, right?
Over $8 million on just furniture.
Oh my God. So unfortunately, Flora, Mr. Whitney's beloved wife, never got to see the home she dreamed of completed, which happened to a lot of wives who had homes built for them. So I guess don't have anyone ever build a home for you. You die. She died before it was finished, but Mr. Whitney finished it anyway in her honor. And Mr. Whitney only got to enjoy 6 years in the home anyway. He died in the house of a heart attack on November 30th, 1900. Today, it is an upscale restaurant, and the bar located on the third floor is called the Ghost Bar. The drink menu embraces the mansion's haunted reputation.
My husband and I actually dined at the Whitney a few years ago on our 5th wedding anniversary. And it's expensive. Yeah, it absolutely is. But it is totally worth going at least once. It's such a cool place. It is absolutely gorgeous. The drinks are extremely well mixed. Love the Ghost Bar. And the staff was really friendly. A lot of them stopped by to wish us a happy anniversary. Like even people that weren't our servers, they like told other people, hey, there's this couple in there. The manager came out. It was really cool. They gave us that night's menu tied with a ribbon as a souvenir. And we didn't experience anything unusual that night, unfortunately, but the Whitney does offer ghost tours. It also offers dinner and a ghost tour. Some friends of ours have gone on it several times.
Yeah.
So if you just want to have fun and be fancy, like it's totally worth doing dinner and a ghost tour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you have like $125 to drop on dinner and ghost tour, absolutely. do it.
And the food is going to be probably some of the best food you've ever had in your life. So,
So then you get to be super full, super sleepy, and on a ghost tour.
yep. Honestly, that sounds like a great night.
Ghost tours with a drink, though.
And they're good they're very good
That's
drinks.
how you do it.
Very good. It was
Everybody to the Whitney.
yeah.
We're done here. So much strange has been reported by folks over the years. Kathleen Tedson and Beverly Rydell, in their book Haunted Travels of Michigan, Volume 1, of which there are 3, write that during a Highland ghost hunter's investigation, a photo was captured of a vortex next to the elevator, which is also said to move on its own without anyone calling to a floor. In Mrs. Whitney's former bedroom, 2 EVPs were caught, Get Out and Get Out Now. They sound like a woman whispering, but were pretty clear to me. You can listen to them on their website, hauntedtravelsmi.com. I don't believe that you need a code for that. There's pieces of the website that you need a code from the book for, but I believe you can just listen to the EVPs there.
You can also get the book through Melcat. I don't think Ann Arbor has them, but other libraries in Michigan do, because that's how I read most of them. Now I own them, but
Yeah.
you can also get them through the libraries.
Yeah, we got to meet Kathleen.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
So employees have seen Mr. Whitney on the staircase and in the Whitney's private dining room. A servant in formal attire is sometimes seen, and the sound of dishes being stacked is occasionally heard. Nicole Beauchamp in Haunted Detroit writes, quote, while many spirits have been spotted over the years, it is believed that Flora is the resident spirit, as she is so emotionally distraught over her sister having lived in the house that was created for her that she is consumed by sorrow in death, end quote. Did we forget to mention Mr. Whitney married Flora's sister after she passed? It's the second guy in this presentation. So not terribly uncommon for the time. It was somewhat taboo because they were considered your sibling.
Yeah.
So it was like incest.
Yeah.
But I mean, 2 guys did it in this presentation alone.
In
so
this presentation alone. While investigators, of which there have been many, were in the house one evening, they had an experience with temperature, something it is theorized ghosts can manipulate. This report comes from Haunted Travels of Michigan, Volume 1. In one of the bedrooms, the temperature gauge read a steady 70 Fahrenheit. The investigator asked the spirits to lower the temp to 62, which happened. He then asked them to lower it more, and the reading dipped to 57 before returning to 70. A repeat of the temperature change was attempted with no result. And apparently, when asked if the spirits had anything else to say before the team left, a lone piano was heard, though this was only noticed when reviewing video after the investigation. 2 of the Whitney children were accomplished pianists.
So lots of EVPs have been captured, including a scream from inside the elevator and knocking with a hello right after it. And it wouldn't be a haunting if something didn't happen in the ladies' bathroom.
Every time.
Every time. Beauchamp reports a woman going into the lounge adjacent to the bathroom to find a lady in period clothing sobbing on the couch. When the woman asked the lady if she was all right, she received no answer, and then she went to the manager to let them know that someone was in distress. And management went into the bathroom, but they found no one there. So they reviewed CCTV to make sure that they hadn't missed someone and made sure that she was okay, but they didn't see anyone leave the bathroom. So, and no one fitting the description was noticed. So, I don't know.
I don't know. Why is she crying? What's so sad? That's so sad. The Masons have long been in Detroit. Their first lodge was founded in 1764, but they are most associated with our next building, the Masonic Auditorium, opened in 1926, the largest Masonic temple in the world.
Yeah, this picture doesn't do it justice.
Yeah. It was designed by George D. Mason, which is just a little on the nose, if you ask me. If it interests you, George Washington's very own trowel was used to lay the cornerstone for the building in 1922. From the Detroit Historical Society, quote, from 1936 to 1942, the Detroit Symphony Orchestra broadcast the popular Ford Sunday evening hour from Masonic Temple Auditorium. Each week, Detroiters were invited to sit in the audience free of charge, and the performances were aired on radio stations nationwide. I cannot imagine getting to go to the Masonic free of charge.
No. Oh, God. No. Unless you go during the Nain Rouge, because it ends there and you can get in for free.
That's true.
And
You
there's
can,
a big party.
explore. Yeah.
So save yourself some
That's it, though.
Yep, basically.
That's your chance.
But it's totally gorgeous. It's worth going inside.
Yeah.
It's amazing. If you haven't gone, it's an absolute must. And it probably comes as no surprise that a place housing a secret society with such a history turns out to be haunted. So we're going to start with perhaps the Masonic's most prolific and most incorrect urban legend.
Yeah. The story goes that George D. Mason greatly surpassed the budget he was given for the Masonic and went bankrupt because of it. His wife left him soon after, and he was so distraught over the loss of his money and his wife that he threw himself off the top of the Masonic, which is a 210-foot building. Since then, folks have seen Mason climbing the stairs to the roof, closing windows, and hiding objects around the temple.
So we're not saying those things don't happen. We're just saying it wasn't Mason. He died in 1948 at the ripe old age of 91 years.
Yeah.
So things might happen. It wasn't him.
It's not.
Or at least not because he.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's plenty that happens regardless of this false story. Doors open and close on their own. Cold spots permeate certain rooms. Patrolmen, docents, members, and guests have all felt like they're being watched. And frankly, Mason could still be hanging around. I mean, this is
Why not?
an incredible feat for him to have accomplished this.
Yeah.
He may be proud, but it's not because he killed himself.
No. We do have a friend who has some insider knowledge of the Masonic, and he has seen some really strange stuff. He's seen shadow figures, heard disembodied voices, seen items moving on their own, but he's never been afraid. In fact, he's happy to have his passed on brethren still around. Like they're wanting to be in a place that was such a huge part of their lives, even after they're no longer among the living, which is actually really nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
We are actually running a little short on time, so I would like to I want to make sure that we have time for questions. So I think we're going to skip down to St. Aubin Street. How does that sound?
Okay. Hold on. So this one's a little,
Oh, why does it keep
a little bit of
skipping?
true crime, which
We're skipping
mean-
over the Caju Cafe. It has feather bowling. It's super Flemish. It's super Belgian.
Yeah.
You should totally go. It's like one of two places that still have feather bowling in the entire state. So, if not,
I haven't been yet. I want to go. Maybe for my birthday.
ask us later.
Yep.
Come on.
So we don't do too much true crime on the show, but there's a lot of true crime associated with hauntings, so it's kind of inevitable. And this is one of your favorites, I think.
And this is definitely one of my favorites. So, Benny Evangelist was a local cult leader and self-proclaimed healer. He immigrated from Italy in the early 1900s seeking the American dream. He and his brother moved to Pennsylvania, where they worked hard, and Benny studied the occult authors like Helena, keyboard assistant, Willow. Thank you. I think that guy's running low on battery. No, keyboard assistant. Thank you so much. He studied the occult authors like Helena Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley. But when he started having odd visions he claimed were from God, his brother got the heck out of town and left Benny on his own.
While working on the railroad in Pennsylvania, Benny struck up a friendship with Aurelius Leon Angelino, whose real name was Aurelio Angelini. I don't know why he changed it.
Newspapers changed it.
Oh, okay. They delved into the weird and esoteric together until May of 1919. In what several website articles have called insanity, Angelini took an axe to his family. His wife managed to get two of the four children out of the house, but Angelini murdered his twin sons asleep in their beds. He then reportedly took the bodies to the backyard and started hacking them up, which is when the police arrived before he could complete the job and took him straight to the asylum.
Yeah. An asylum-worthy offense.
Yeah.
So possibly to no one's surprise, Benny left Pennsylvania. He settled in Detroit and quickly gained wealth in the lumber business. He also dove deeper into the occult, having visions from God every night between 12 and 3 a.m. He set up an altar in the basement, going so far as to create his rendition of the solar system, made from paper mache and wood. He included in his Great Celestial Planet exhibition a dozen or so wax figures of gods and a giant electric eye that was used in his rituals and healings. These healings would be done on members of his community who sought him out. He charged up to $10, 1900s money, for a healing. And he also wrote, beginning in 1906, a 4-volume Origin of the World titled The Oldest History of the World Discovered by Occult Science in Detroit, Michigan, in which he relayed information from God that was previously unknown about the universe. I read it, so you don't have to. Please don't bother.
Yeah,
I will never get those hours back.
It makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no sense. It is, I believe, on Internet Archive, but like, don't bother. Guys, it's so long. Flashbacks.
So, the investigating police determined the murders to have happened around midnight, July 3rd. This, of course, when Benny was having his trances. So it put him in his office, which anyone would have known. The rest of the family had gone to bed long before that. And had it not been for the missing head, one might have thought Benny Evangelist was just sitting at his desk in quiet contemplation. Indeed, the house was dark and quiet, perfect for prayer, except for the fact that his wife Santina and their 4 children joined Benny in death from their bedrooms.
Both adults had had their heads severed, with Benny sitting on the floor at his feet. His wife and youngest were in their bed, with the other children slaughtered by axe in their own beds. No weapon was found, no killer identified, and the only eyewitness, a dog, couldn't speak English.
So the dog survived.
Guys, the dog lived.
Oh.
We're good.
So there were several people interviewed, and this would have included Angelini, but he was no longer at the asylum. He was gone. Everyone from Benny's employees to the mob have been tied to this horrific murder, but almost 100 years later, it's still unsolved.
Yep. The home at 3587 St. Aubin has been long demolished. There's it before it was demolished. And as far as we know, nothing has been built in its place, but Google Maps Street View does show some construction going on in the area, so it very well could be something else. Who knows? But you can bet that people think the area is haunted. There have been reports of disembodied screams heard in the night and a headless apparition roaming the property. Unclear if it happens with the construction going on, but once that dies down, we would love to go find out.
A friend of ours actually works right down the street from here, or like
Yeah.
kitty corner from here or
Yeah.
something. He was not thrilled to learn about this history. He's a history teacher.
I was just like,
He didn't like this history.
yeah, we were just talking about, we have a game night every Sunday, and we were just talking about it just casually. And he was like, what street did you say that was on? And I was like, St. Aubin. And he's like, he pulled up this address on Google and then like looked at how far his school was. And he was like, I don't like that.
He hasn't told us if it's haunted, though.
No, I don't know if his school's on it. I don't think he goes to that part of St. Aubin,
For not anymore.
to be fair. And then down the road on the same street in 1990, another horrific mass killing happened. But you'll have to look it up or wait for my Patreon episode to get more about that. We don't have time, friends. Thank you. That's it for us.
Yeah.
Thanks to AADL. You're always wonderful people. We also work for AADL. We booked our own event. So we're great people too. You can find us at Haunted Mitten pretty much everywhere. That includes Tumblr, because Tumblr is the only decent social media left. And even then, it needs some help. We have a merch shop that you can find through hauntedmitten.com. And we have a Patreon for $1 to $3 a month. You get extra bonus content, everything from write-ups from little road trips that we do to video podcasts if you need to see our faces for some reason. I've been told the people like that. And true crimes, live shows, a surprising amount.
An increasing amount.
An increasing amount. And then, of course, we have Ypsilanti Ghosts and Legends, our first of hopefully many books to come. You can find it here if you don't have your copy. We'll sign it. And then if anybody has any questions, comments, or hopefully not concerns, please feel free. Are you going to bring the microphone?
Yeah,
to
I
them?
can bring the microphone to you
Okay.
if you have any questions.
Yay!
More like a comment. I was actually at the DIA today, coincidentally, and they had a temporary exhibit on Nishnabek art, and there was a painting with Mishi Peishu in it, so I can send that to the group chat. If
Hey, that would be awesome.
I'd love to see
Yeah,
that.
we have
Yeah.
a Discord. He's part of it. We have a Patreon Discord where you can just post random stuff. Cool.
And
Yeah,
I
I
do.
definitely want to see that. Mishi Peishu is the Great Lakes panther from native legend. It protects our Great Lakes.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it loves copper.
that thing loves copper.
And if it likes you, it'll give you copper.
right?
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
From the book that you told us not to read because it's not worth our time,
Yeah.
do you have your least favorite, or I guess favorite, out-of-pocket thing that was said?
Oh my.
Flashbacks.
It is both the Vietnam meme and the math meme. He thinks he knows what big words mean. He does not know what a lot of big words mean. Yeah. So you're reading it and you're like, this doesn't make sense. And it's not just because it's a concept that I am not grasping. It's because he's literally used the wrong words. And you can't make sense. I have no idea what he intended to say, but it sure wasn't that. No, don't do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't do it. It's on Internet Archive.
Don't do it. Here's where to find it.
Why not? Anybody else? Now that would be incredible. I heard that. That's
I
what
might
should do
tune
on
into a
Patreon.
dramatic reading.
You're correct. That's the only way I'm reading it again.
For Patreon. A really high tier.
How sad. The first thing I thought of for high tier was like, you have to pay me $15. Yeah, that's fine. I'll do it. But you have to join the Patreon.
Yep.
All right. I think we're good.
Yeah, well, thank you again to Kay and Crysta. Another round of applause for our wonderful presenters.
Thank you.
And I know that you all have some books in the back.
We
I'll
do
let
have
kind
some
of
books,
direct
yeah.
my
So if
guests to
anybody's
that.
interested, yeah, we can do cash card,
Cash card.
PayPal, or Venmo.
All right, well then, you can go ahead and meet us at the back table if you're interested in buying a book. If not, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.